Welcome to the Expect Success Podcast, a presentation of GeorgeBollick.com with your host, George Bollick. This podcast is for all things personal development. Don't expect success, prepare for it. Please welcome your host, George Bollick.
Welcome to Expect Success at GeorgeBollick.com. Now, in addition to listening to our podcast, you could also view the video format on YouTube at GeorgeTube.com. Ron Ernest Paul is an American author, physician, retired politician, and he was even a presidential candidate a couple times. Now, as you may or may not know, I am no big fan of politics, so I definitely do not want to get into that here. However, Ron does make a strong case for what I agree is a very successful investment strategy. Now, on today's show, Ron talks about why he thinks precious metals like gold and silver are great insurance against a correction in the equity stock markets and real estate that is bound to happen. Listen to this brief but insightful testimony about protecting some of your wealth. Here's Ron.
I was always fascinated with coin collecting. I was always disappointed in the 1960s when you couldn't find silver coins anymore. It was the study of Austrian free market economics that got me stirred up with interest in economic policy and monetary policy. Major events of the 1970s were predictable. That is when the gold standard dissipated, it broke down. It was because we printed too much money and we pretended that we were on the gold standard at $35 an ounce. But Austrian free market economists predicted many, many years at the rate we're printing money, it won't last, the gold standard is going to be destroyed. And I was, yeah, probably true, but in 1971, it climaxed with the American government, the United States government declared that we are no longer solvent in that we will not redeem our money in gold. And that was a very important event. But even at that time, we weren't allowed to own gold. But I thought, well, at the rate, if this story is true, this means gold is going to go up a lot. You $35 an ounce, it could double or triple. It could go up $150 or something. But it turned out to be much worse than that. By the end of that decade, it was over $800, and it's been up and down ever since, but we keep printing money. And I became more fascinated when I realized the significance of monetary policy, because it is a deliberate effort by those who love big government and those who don't care about personal liberties to not have any restraint on spending. So if you're into big time military spending or big time welfare spending, you don't want any restraints on the government. The founders understood this. They wanted restraints, and that is that you could only have gold and silver as legal tender. They didn't give us an income tax, and you couldn't print money, and governments remained small, during the 19th century. In 1913, they systematically took over the monopoly control of money until finally they destroyed the gold standard. But it was all done maliciously because they believed in big government. I happen to believe in individual liberty. It's completely different than what those who hate the gold standard. They want big government. They believe that they'll take care of more people that way. I'm convinced otherwise. I think the more freedom you have, the more people they get taken care of, and gold represents that to me. So right now, I think people should have a nest egg, and I think they'd sleep better at night, and that's why I decided to do a little bit of work with you and encourage people to protect themselves.
That's awesome. Now, for more from Ron Paul, simply search YouTube, and be sure to check out his website, ronpaulinstitute.org. His book, The Case for Gold, is available at his website and or Amazon.com. It's available in an audio format too. And by the way, if you're interested in investing in gold and silver, be sure to check out mintbuilder.us. That's mintbuilder.us. You can get a free bar of silver just for checking out that website. And remember, as the late great Jim Rohn used to say, you are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. Today you've been hanging out with Ron Paul. Keep up the momentum. Subscribe to our newsletter so you never miss another episode. We'll catch you on the next show. And thanks a million for listening. See ya.
Thanks so much for listening to this episode of the Expect Success Podcast with your host, George Bollick. If you enjoyed today's podcast, please rate, subscribe, and review. And find more great content online at GeorgeBollick.com and on Facebook and Twitter at George Bollick. We'll catch you next time. And remember, don't just expect success, prepare for it.